Hey, this is Dwayne. So this time I'm going to talk a little bit about how I might share in Open Share, just to kind of show what that might look like. Open Share is our small group at Celebrate Recovery. What it generally looks like is it's an hour long. There is a leader who is a facilitator of the group. And what happens is each person gets a chance to talk about how they're doing. Usually, we'll go around the circle and everybody will introduce themselves, and then go around the circle and everybody will get a chance to tell about their recovery, how they're doing, struggles and successes since last time they were in group, or if it's their first time, they'll talk about what brought them to Celebrate Recovery. And so I just want to talk a little bit about how I might share in Open Share, and I don't know, give some thoughts on that. The interesting thing in Celebrate Recovery is we have two different types of small groups. We have Open Share and we have step studies. And step studies usually happen on a different night of the week than Open Share, and they are designed to work through the participant guides of Celebrate Recovery, which takes the 12 steps and divides them up into 25 lessons. And each lesson is maybe 6 to 9 questions or more. And each question gets read, and then each person answers a question. And so step studies are all about targeting a topic, maybe back all the way to my birth until now. And so it could be a long period of time that is being discussed on any given step study gathering. However, Open Share is more designed to talk about things that are happening kind of now, maybe not today, but since the last time I was in group, which hopefully if I'm coming regularly, that's last week, although maybe I was out of town and it's been 2 weeks since I've been in group, something along those lines. So both groups are very valuable. And I think really in a way, the Open Share groups are almost more valuable because there will be times in my life where maybe I'm not in a step study, but if I'm practicing my recovery and I'm committed to it and I'm participating, there might never be a time when I'm not coming to Open Share regularly. And so the skills that I learn in Open Share are going to be valuable forever, whether I am in a step study or not. And so I think in a lot of ways, learning how to share in Open Share is one of the most valuable habits to learn in Celebrate Recovery. So for me, typically what I do is I have a kind of a pattern of what I share, and I may or may not refer to my written plan. I've talked about that in some other videos. And so sometimes I will. Today I'm going to do it that way. So we go around the first time in the group and I might introduce myself. Hi, my name is Dwayne. I'm a child of God. I struggle with sexual addiction, sexual anorexia, and codependency. Everybody says, hi, Dwayne. And then whenever we go around to share, it's my turn to share. And I say, so I have, let's see, 11 years, 164 days of sexual sobriety, according to my definition. And 83 days of codependency according to my definition. And I might not explain what my codependency definition means every week, but say this week I might say maybe there's somebody new in the group or I just haven't done it in a while and I go. So the thing about me and codependency is that for me, codependency is kind of about 3 different things. I'm talking about how I struggle, how I'm doing in my struggle with anxiety, with anger, and with depression or discouragement or worry or frustration. And so it kind of depends on a given week whether I'm experiencing high intensity in anxiety, anger, depression, or if it's more lower intensity, like some concerns or worries, some frustration, and maybe some discouragement. And so what my plan says is that my codependency sobriety definition says, number 1, I will not raise my voice in anger. Number 2, when I realize I am experiencing an anger, anxiety, or depression loop, I will contact an accountability brother who has my plan within 2 hours. If my first attempt does not result in connection, I will make at least 2 more attempts before another hour has passed. And I have some other stuff in here that talks about things I struggle with. And so What I might share on a given week about codependencies, I might say, well, so this week maybe I broke my codependency sobriety. So I raised my voice in anger at my wife, and I yelled at her, and I was very frustrated, and I said some things I shouldn't have said. It took me about an hour before I was willing to admit that my actions were inappropriate. Maybe I did not call my accountability partner, and so this is the first day that I'm sharing with anybody that I broke my codependency sobriety because I raised my voice in anger. But my plan says I will, within 24 hours, tell my wife, my sponsor, and my accountability partners, and I did not do that this week. So that might be something I would say if I broke my codependency sobriety but failed to call somebody. Note that I might say that I raised my voice at my wife, but you don't have any idea why. One of the important things in Celebrate Recovery is I don't talk about what other people did or said. And so I might say, yeah, I broke my codependency sobriety this week. My wife said something, and I got really angry. I raised my voice and slammed the door and went off in a huff. Whatever. So you don't know if my wife called me blessed or called me less than blessed. It's okay for me to refer to my wife as an entity who triggered me in some way, but it's really not anybody's business what she did, or it's not really my place to break her confidentiality and tell other people what she did. The fact is, she might have done something wrong, or she might have done nothing wrong at all. The important thing is that I'm working on me, so I only talk about me. So typically I might say something like, let's see, this week I didn't have any inappropriate media, no inappropriate touching, and I don't think I had any inappropriate looks. Or then I might go, oh yeah, I did. Let's see. So I had one inappropriate look. I looked at some woman 2 times at a restaurant, and I haven't really thought about it since then. So I don't think it gave me any notable lasting trouble. So maybe I broke my sexual sobriety and said, well, I masturbated on Thursday night, and I looked at porn for 3 hours, and then I called my accountability partner right afterwards and talked about it. And I realized that I did it because I was angry because my boss asked me to do something I didn't want to do, and I came home from work frustrated, and my wife was out of town, and so I went and looked on the computer, and I surfed the internet, and I didn't really have a plan, so I wound up seeing some tempting images, and that's how I wound up breaking my sobriety. So that might be a typical way that I might confess that I had broken sexual sobriety. So another thing I might talk about when I'm sharing in open shares, I might talk about my boundaries. Let's say that I didn't break sobriety, but I broke a boundary. Let's see. What are some of my boundaries here? It says, I will stop work and call my wife by 5 p.m. phone time, Monday through Friday. And so maybe I come in and I say, well, so this week I had a project at work, and it was like 4:55, and I told myself, well, I've got to work a little bit longer, and I got so involved that I totally forgot to call my wife, and I didn't pick up the phone and tell her I was coming home until 6:30, or maybe I didn't even think about her until she called me and said, hey, you coming home? That might imply that I am dealing with anxiety poorly. It might imply that I'm not processing my feelings properly. It might imply that I've lost track of my plan. I'm failing to follow my plan. And usually for me, if I'm failing to follow my plan, it's usually a short road between that and broken sobriety for me. And so one of the reasons I have boundaries written in my plan is so that I am reminded of the things that in the past have come before breaking sobriety. And I make sure that if I do those things, that I report it to other people so that I'm being honest, and helps me to remotivate myself to take my recovery seriously. Another thing might say is I have goals on my plan. And one of my goals says, I will read one chapter of the Bible each day and journal. And I have these two little acronyms that I use to journal with. And so I might say, well, so this week, and actually this is true, lately I've been journaling every day. I think I might have missed one day last week, which is pretty good for me of late, because for a few months there, maybe longer than a few months, I'd really been struggling with having regular time in the Bible and with God. So I'm currently in 1 Kings, I think chapter 20 is what I read today, about Ahab and Elijah, and talked about Ahab wanting Naboth's vineyard. So that was what I read about today. And I did journal about it using my little acronym here that I have to help me actually pay attention to what I'm reading in the Bible, which is not always my strong suit. Let's see, it says here, I will make 3 outgoing contacts with accountability each week. I have not done that this week. Let's see. Have I made any? I'd have to look at my phone logs, but it may be that I haven't made any calls outgoing today. So one thing I might do, if I come into my group and I share that there's a goal that I said I'd do and I won't do it, a natural question is, well, does that need to come out of my plan? Do I need to remove it, or do I need to recommit to it? And so one of the things I might say in Open Share when I'm sharing, I might say, so I'll commit to calling 3 people this week for sure. And in fact, I will call somebody. What time is it? It's 8:32. I probably won't call anybody tonight. Maybe, yes, I will. I will commit to call one person tonight, because I've been meaning to do that anyway. And so that is an example of how I might share in Open Share. Another thing I might do is I might talk about if I've had any conflict. I might say, well, this week I didn't have any conflict with my wife, or this week I did have conflict with my wife and I got irritated with her, and I was very tempted, but I did not raise my voice, so I did not break my sobriety, but I did have to have a serious conversation to work through my issues, and ultimately I admitted that I had been holding on to some resentment that I had been ignoring, and I journaled about that and talked to one of my accountability partners about that. So those are just some standard examples of how I might share when I was in Open Share on a given week about how I'm doing, and in reference to the plan that I use to remind myself of what I have committed to. Hope you have a great day, and talk to you soon. Bye.